Baby, if it's all the same to you, can we spend the night somewhere new? I'm getting tired of the way that the traffic moves. Getting tired of the trees and the long afternoons. Baby, if it's all the same to you, can we find a place a little less blue? I need a change, a chance to break away. Need a coffee house to let me hide my face. I've been dreaming for quite some time that you and me would hit the road and leave it all behind, and maybe we'll come out on the other side with some friends and a place to call our own. Some friends and a place to call home. Baby, I know I haven't done it alright. I've been the devil to you. I've been as cold as ice, but there's a fire in me that loves the fire in you. I'd be obliged if you'd stay through the burn and the pain. 'Cause honey, you don't know you mean the world to me. I'd give anything if I could make you see that the best part of me is the part that's you. And I don't wanna know who I am without you. I've been dreaming for quite some time that you and me would hit the road and leave it all behind, and maybe we'll come out on the other side. Some friends and a place to call our own. Some friends and a place to call home. Don't be afraid to tell me that you wanna stay, 'cause I'm the lover of change, and I've never been good at staying in place. I'd do anything you ask me to. I would plant my roots for you. Yeah, I'd lock my knees till they stayed in place. I've been dreaming for quite some time that you and me would hit the road and leave it all behind, and maybe we'll come out on the other side with some friends and a place to call our own. Some friends and a place to call home.
I don't know why I really like this song for some reason. I think it's a really cool song. Normally, I don't listen to. No, be quiet. Normally, I don't listen to songs that have lyrics. By the way, welcome to the stream. If you're watching the recording, it would just sound weird that the first thing I'm talking about is a song that I like. But anyway, glad you're here. We're starting day 7 of the live mass. For some reason, whenever I say that, I think of church. Yeah, like doing church. I think it's better here than on Twitter. Hey, Diego. Welcome. Oh, yeah? I'm glad you're here, my friend. Sweet. Yeah. I'm using StreamYard to send it on both Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And from what I've noticed, I mean, I like just having it there, and I'm not about to upgrade to have it on 12 platforms because, I'm not yet that huge. But at some point, we will. Anyway, I'm going to start real quick. We have 27 minutes from the 30 minutes scheduled. And what we normally do with the live mass is we read from the Daily Stoic, the Daily Laws, and then we talk about the subject of the title. Today's subject is about starting over. And I have some interesting ideas about starting over. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Maybe my audio is not. I want to make sure that this is trying to listen on the other side. Sure, I'm not whispering like a rat. Talking of rats, let me play his music again. Can you hear me clearly? All right, I'll just do a manual test on my end here. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. All right, cool. Let's begin. So, The Daily Laws by Robert Greene. You may or may not have heard of him. He's the author of 48 Laws of Power, Mastery, Laws of Seduction, Laws of Human Nature. Basically, every book this man has written has gone on to become a bestseller and has a chock packed full of information about human psychology. But the Daily Laws is a more daily meditation type piece text where each day has a text for you to meditate on. So we've been doing December so far, and the theme seems to be largely revolving around mortality and death and just thinking about what we really own versus what we don't. So we're going to read. Today is the 7th of December. I feel like I'm a pastor preaching the church of Stoicism. Anyway, all right, let's begin. The bullet in the side. The reality of death has come upon us, and the consciousness of the power of God has broken our complacency. Like a bullet in our side, like a bullet in the side, a sense of the dramatic, of the tragic, of the infinite has descended upon us, filling us with grief, but even above grief, wonder. By Flannery O'Connor. That is the opening quote. So now the text itself. After the onset of lupus at the age of 25, Flannery O'Connor stared down the barrel of the gun pointed at her, refusing to look away. For over 13 years, she used her proximity to death as a call to stir herself to action, to feel a sense of urgency, to deepen her religious faith and speak her sense of wonder at all mysteries and uncertainties of life. She used the closeness of death to teach her what really matters and to help her steer clear of the petty squabbles and concerns that plagued others. She used it to anchor herself in the present, to make her appreciate every moment and every encounter. We tend to read stories like Flannery O'Connor's with some distance. We can't help but feel some relief that we find ourselves in a much more comfortable position. But we make a grave mistake in doing so. By having her mortality so present and palpable, she had an advantage over us. She was compelled to confront death and make use of her awareness of it. We, on the other hand, are able to dance around the thought, to envision endless vistas of time ahead of us and dabble our way through life. And then, when reality hits us, when we perhaps receive our own bullet in the side in the form of an unexpected crisis in our career, or a painful breakup in a relationship, or the death of someone close, or even our own life-threatening illness, we are not usually prepared to handle it. Bullet in the side. Daily Law, the back says, Flannery O'Connor's fate is our fate. We are all in the process of dying, all facing the same uncertainties. I think this works well with the topic, right? I mean, today we're going to be talking about starting over, and the idea of being at the bottom. Let's change that track and have a bullet in the side. Okay. I guess today's lesson is from Flannery O'Connor, diagnosed with lupus, stayed on the barrel for 13 years, and was able to use that as a way to live more presently. So, Daily Laws complete. Now let's move to the Daily Stoic. Daily Stoic 366 Meditations on Wisdom, Perseverance, and the Art of Living by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. Today is day 7. Oh, this one is shorter actually. Oh, it's interesting how these books complement each other. We're talking earlier about the bullet on the side. The topic here today is the cards we are dealt. So, think of the life you have lived until now as over. And as a dead man, see what's left as a bonus and live according to nature. Love the hand that fate deals you and play it as your own, for what could be more fitting? Marcus Aurelius Meditations 7:56-57. We have an irrational fear of acknowledging our own mortality. We avoid thinking about it because we think it will be depressing. In fact, reflecting on mortality often has the opposite effect, invigorating us more than saddening us. Why? Because it gives clarity. If you were suddenly told you had but a week to live, what changes would you make? If you died but were resuscitated, how different would your perspective be? When, at Shakespeare's when, as Shakespeare's Prospero puts it, every third thought shall be my grave, there's no risk of getting caught up in petty matters or distractions. Instead of denying our fear of death, let it make us the best people we can be today. Hmm. What do you think? Here's what I think about starting over, about being in a position where you've lost everything. Maybe your relationship has ended, or you just have a job that you're fired from, or maybe you wrote an exam and then you saw your results and you're like, man, I'll have to begin again. I think we underestimate the ability for the human being to learn from the past. And sometimes we think that because we're starting over, we're starting from scratch. I don't think we're ever starting from scratch. Like, even if you're starting over a new business, a new relationship, a new whatever it is, we are never starting from scratch because we come in there with the experiences that we had in the previous relationships, the previous encounters that we had. So, the way I look at starting over is really about perspective, about accepting that things may not have worked out in a particular combination. It's like playing chess and you lose a match and then you decide you're never going to play chess again. Of course not. That's not a very smart thing to do. Smart thing to do would be to look at the match and say, okay, where did I go wrong? What happened? Where did I play the wrong move? How did my opponent get, one up on me? I think it's easy to look at the failures. Yesterday we talk about failure. If you haven't watched that stream, it's probably going to be available on the site, on the YouTube. But we underestimate what it's like to be a human being sometimes. We don't realize how much power we have and how the body remembers, and the experiences that we have and the lessons that we learn through the process of becoming who we've become today. And so I don't think you can actually ever truly start over. Even when you fail and things don't work out, you're coming to the new experience different. You are not who you were when you started. You don't have the same experiences when you started, the same toolkit, the same abilities. The way you look at things now, very different. Very different from when it was. Ha ha ha. I just refreshed myself out of my own studio. That's fun. I'm glad you continued. Nice. All right, let's continue sharing this. This is good to know. I didn't think this was going to happen this way. But you know what? I like it. I like that this mistake happened because now I know that the next time I want to refresh, I should refresh properly. Oh man, that was interesting. Let me see if it's working. I refreshed myself out of the studio on StreamYard. I was trying to refresh the window here to see how it's going to work out, but yeah, it didn't work out. Anyway. I like this
It's
song.
you left, yet I keep dreaming. Wanna stay inside, get lost with you again. I knew it all along. You were my oxygen, so let me stay.
All right. So, so what is the message here today about starting over? You're never really starting over because you have a lot of experience. Because you failed, because you tried previously, because you had put in effort into getting to a place where you could do something different. You've gained experience, you've gained knowledge, you've gained, you found a way that didn't work. The quote from Thomas Edison, I haven't failed 1,000 times, I've found 1,000 ways that didn't work. So you've gained experience that you can now leverage for the next stage of your life. So if of course it's difficult when you're starting over. I mean, a lot of what I'm saying is when you take a step back and you're calm and you've gone through the emotions of failing, and then you're thinking, okay, now I need to start over. What did I learn from the previous example? What did I learn from the previous experience? In a moment, it doesn't usually seem like fun. And I think we talked about this yesterday when we talked about failure, that failure doesn't seem like fun. But if you make it an experience to learn, then in a way you look forward to it, because then you would find ways that did not work for you to be able to continue doing on your path, on your purpose, on driving to where you want to go. So the more you don't allow that moment of weakness to take over the whole time, of course you're gonna have it. I mean, you can have a few seconds of not being able to do things right, but the goal is to be able to get better at it over time and learn how to overcome that feeling. Learn how to leverage each moment of pain, each moment of failure, each moment of starting over as a chance to begin again. And I'm going to take a random example. Let me say, for example, to my example, my marriage that did not work out. In a moment, it wasn't a good feeling. For long periods of time, I felt very negative emotions towards myself, towards my ex-wife. Like there's just a lot of things that were not very comfortable to sit with. And I had to come to a point where I realized that I needed to start over. That I could not stay in this place where I was complaining and crying and explaining everything that happened to everybody who cares to answer and talk about, I don't know, red pill, blue pill, whatever pill, and whatever situation about relationships and feminism and whatever. There was a point that I had to accept that this had happened, and then I could either learn from it or this could be the death of me. I had to move forward. I had to choose to take the step. And that's the thing about our emotions during these moments, because a lot of things will happen. A lot of things will happen to us, happen for us. Accidents, job loss, relationships, arguments. There's a lot of random things that can happen. Now, what you choose to do in that particular instant, how you choose to react to it, that is usually within our control. A lot of times we have the opportunity to take a different path. If you've tried something 5 times and all the 5 times failed and you keep doing the same thing, well, shouldn't expect it to work, right? I mean, you need to change something, maybe start at a different time. In my case, I had to look my marriage in the face and be like, all right, what didn't work out here? What happened? And retroactively try to identify issues that I could have addressed, but I didn't. And now when you're starting over, you start asking yourself, okay, what is it that I want to accomplish? What is the ultimate goal here? What is the purpose? What is the why? What do I want to get done? And then now start mapping your steps back to getting that done. Because it's one thing to fail and cry and complain that the world is not fair. It's another thing to fail and get all those lessons and then use them to improve and grow and to become a better version of who you were the day before. Because that's what we are. We're learning machines. Whenever something happens, we get the opportunity to learn and improve and become better. It's inevitable. If we choose to improve, to just look at every single thing that happens as an opportunity to become better, there is no way we cannot be better. I mean, of course, there are chances that we cannot. Statistically speaking, you can do everything right and still fail. Yes. But your chances of failing reduce when you learn to learn and use every opportunity as a chance to improve and grow. So it's not so much about failing or finding the courage to start over. I think it's really about realizing that you're never really starting over. You're just learning from the previous experience, and you're coming in there with knowledge that conscious knowledge that you have, which is positive, maybe positive knowledge. And you can also have negative knowledge, which I think is like trauma. You might get into an experience that leaves you so broken that the way you react to typical situations is very different from what you normally reacted. So learning and growth can not only happen in one direction, which is positive, it can also happen in a negative direction, which is why it's also important to consider self-care and therapy and actually having ways to work through those mental processes that may be damaging for your next level of growth. So if you were in a relationship and that didn't work out, jumping to the next relationship without taking the time to actually figure out what happened in the previous one, including what your responsibility was or what did not work out, what the expectations were. If you don't take the time to figure that out, you might end up in the same position, and that's not very healthy. I would not recommend it. I don't think people should do that. Um, yeah, I think it's important to be able to use every opportunity in life as a learning opportunity, a chance to be better, a chance to do better, a chance to learn, to grow, to improve. Because in the end, that's what we can do, right? We learn how to walk, we learn how to speak, we learn languages, we learn how to write, we learn how to wear clothes, then we learn fashion, we learn how to cook. Always just learning. You go to a new job, you don't know anything, you learn people's names, you learn how things work out in this company. Then maybe find a different job, you learn again, all over again. So we are learning machines, and starting over is just another opportunity to learn. That's it. It's not that scary. It shouldn't be that scary. And if it feels scary, it's really because we forget our capacity and the things that we're already bringing into this new experience, all the things that we've learned before. So, yeah, that was really what I wanted to share today. And I'm pretty excited about starting over in my life. I've started over a couple of times, from college to relationships to now a marriage to life in the US. It's just a lot of starting over. And when you realize that a lot of these things are within your control and it's up to you to figure out how you want to get it done, it just makes things so much easier. You're not outsourcing your emotions, you're not outsourcing your the strength to continue to other people. You rely on your own ability to do it, not in a selfish, independent way, more of realizing like there's so much that is out of your control, but the few things that are within your control, those things can really move the lever in the right directions if you do it the right way. And it might take a few years, it might take a few weeks, it might take months, but somehow my experience has been that if you're on the path to learn and improve and take responsibility for things that happen and control what you can control, more often than not, you're going to end up in a better place than you were before. Better could be more money, better could be healthier, better could be just more peace. Better doesn't necessarily have to be physical improvements. It can just be, you can be the same person that you were 2 years ago, but the way you think has transformed completely. And I think that's contradiction because you're not the same person. What I'm trying to say is you can look the same, even have the same weight, same height, probably dress the same, but because you think in a different way and you approach life in a different way, the energy you exude is different. And when you're starting over, it's something that people might notice when you've worked on it. Yeah. Emerson, you're here. Welcome. Let me check out your comment. I've been talking about myself for so long, I forgot that comments existed. I wish from a young age that learning was a constant thing. Learning was a constant. You wished from a young age that learning was a constant thing, change is constant. You might want to rephrase that. I don't understand. Do you wish, like, is this something that you don't think is, or something that you learned over time? What do you mean? Emerson, I don't know if you can hear me, but I was hoping I can clarify the comment, which is I wish from a young age that learning was a constant thing, change is constant. Oh, okay. I wish someone told me we have to keep learning in life. Yeah. you know, I think, I don't know if it's because of the way I was raised or the experiences I had in my life. Sooner than later, like very early I realized that it was easier for me to take responsibility for things that did not work out. I almost I think that's why for a long time, I don't know if you know part of my story, but when I was in high school, I wanted to study literature, history, literature, and French. So that was Form 5 in Cameroon. And I liked it. I really wanted to do it. I was sure that's what I wanted to do. But my parents did not force me, did not try to convince me. They just basically told me, you're smart. It's a smarter decision to study the arts, to study science, and work towards becoming a medical doctor or something in the science field because you get more pay. The regular spiel. And I agreed reluctantly, but I never actually expressed it. And for so many years, I was like, I wish I'd taken a different path. I wish I had said something different or disagreed with them. But it took me, what, almost from 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It took me almost 6 years to get to a point where I was comfortable taking my own path without feeling bad for it. So, yeah, I can appreciate to an extent what you mean by that because I felt trapped that I had to do what they told me to do. But they weren't putting a gun on my head. They didn't threaten like, oh, we're going to disown you if you don't do what we're saying. No, it was none of that. Never said any of that. I was just in my own head thinking, oh, this is the way it has to be, so I'm going to do it this way. But I was wrong. And when I finally understood that around 2012, when I got into journalism, it made life so much easier. And again, I had to fail at marriage to actually understand that I could look at relationships from a very different perspective and actually demand things, well, not demand, but want things that I wanted. So there's so many things that I just feel very grateful when I get opportunities to learn about something that I didn't know about myself. Because I'm like, oh man, so happy this is happening now, so that I don't have to deal with this later on. I can actually move forward in life. So yeah, maybe someone didn't tell you when you were younger, but now you know. So what are you going to do about it? That's the way I look at life. Is okay. I didn't know this. Like for example, right now I'm putting this on the show. I'm supposed to have had a book published. And I say a book is just something that is collection, not necessarily a book with a specific idea. But I'll keep looking like, oh, what do I get? Somebody to edit the cover and everything. And I got a course on Gumroad, and the course basically walks you through the process. And I've had this course for at least a year now. And so I realized that the more I remove my excuses, the more I realize that I'm the one who is responsible for so many things that are not working out in my life because I could sit for a few hours, basically take this course and get my book out there. And people could be buying the book. Or could actually, I've published my book. And I could learn from that experience because I know for sure that it's not going to come out the way I'm hoping that it will. But it's going to be an opportunity for me to get it out of the way and start getting to the next level. So, yeah. Yeah. That's odd. Going to be ending the stream in 2 minutes. You can get ready for work. If you're watching and you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to point out, I'll be more than happy to. Just a reminder, this is day 7 of the live mass. Ends in 3 days. To be honest, I wish I could go every day. Oh my goodness. Because it's become a sort of a daily routine, like a morning routine type situation where I do the thing, Objectively looking, we realize that the majority of blockers in life are life-induced, are self-induced. I wonder, honestly, I wonder what God was thinking. Because I'm thinking like, okay, if we're made in his image and he's watching us and all that cool stuff, why did he give us short lives? Like, why didn't he give like 1,000 years to figure this thing out? Because imagine you do all you fail at all these things, and then you're struggling with business, life, relationships, and in the moment you figure it out, oh, you're like, oh man, I'm going to die in a few years. It's like, why is it so short? But also it's long because you see how much time we can spend on certain things, and you wonder, do we even know how much time we really have? Like when for example, I stream on Twitch every so often. And the other day I streamed for 6 hours straight. And I was like, after I was done streaming, I mean, I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I played Outriders with a couple of friends and met some cool people online. Yeah. And I've lived through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. Man, this is somebody that I think, whenever I ask a question, do you he says Mark Twain, yeah. When people say which celebrity, alive or dead would you want to meet, I feel like Mark Twain is going to be a funny guy to be around. Probably when he gets drunk, he'll probably tell you some really cool things. But yeah, I was streaming the other day. I streamed for like 6 hours, and then I had a great time. Like I don't regret any of the moments. I was hanging out with my friends. We're playing Outriders. We played Dead by Daylight. But I looked at the time like, this is 6 hours, Kamga, that you could have taken these 6 hours if you're focusing on one thing. Say for example, designing your ebook. You could have probably done this ebook in 6 hours. There's a very high chance you could have done it, but you didn't. But you know what? La vie c'est le choix. Make a choice and deal with the consequences. That's pretty much it. That's the way I'd like to live my life. To be able to own up to everything that I've done and be responsible for my life. I think when choosing to start over, and the last thing I'll actually say, because it's past our time. The last thing I'll say is, starting over is actually an act of courage. There are few people who would willingly look at themselves and be like, you know what? Things haven't worked out. I need to go back to the drawing board. I think most people and the ego will not allow us to even accept that we failed. We will keep going and blinded to every people, no comments, no feedback. Like, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm right. I'm going to figure it out. The courage to go back to the drawing board and begin from scratch should not be underestimated. It takes a lot to get there. And if you're already at that particular point starting over, then you're killing it. You may not know it, but it takes a lot to accept that you failed and to begin to fix it. So yeah, we're going to end today's stream here. Let's do a round number. Let's do 35. You have 1 minute and 40 seconds or something. Emerson, Diego, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate your time and your comments and the feedback. We're back tomorrow. Last but one day, day 8. Wait, no, tomorrow is day 8. No, that's but 2 days. Day 8 is going to be tomorrow. I wonder what I'm going to talk about, because some of these topics, I just think about them. Just, on the fly. As I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for the emotions to come, and when they come, like, yep, that's the one. That's what we're talking about today. So we've covered quite a few topics this week, don't you think? We have, haven't we? Yeah. Just for my own sake, the chances I'm taking, impatiently aching. Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you in the next one. There's no replacing you. Don't let me say it's got all you do. Where have I been? I've been craving you. Happy endings too. I know I love if it's
it's not you, if it's not you. Take me in, take me out, let me in, show me how. It's you I can't go without. It's you I